How much did I save in a year with my balcony solar panels? In this video, I'll recap. Since I installed these panels over a year ago to get an idea of how much I saved, is it worth installing balcony photovoltaic panels? How much do they cost and how much can you get back with incentives? Here's a general overview of this topic. I was curious about balcony solar panels because obviously, since I also talk about saving money on my channel, whenever I can, I like to test out new ways to save. I try them out myself first and then I talk about them here on the channel. Long-time subscribers will remember the video. If you haven't seen it or aren't subscribed, subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram. So let's start a bit with the general discussion. Balcony photovoltaic panels. So, photovoltaic panels have some advantages, especially the balcony ones, which are called plug and play. Basically, you can install them in no time at all. You just need to connect two wires, two jacks, let's call them that, just to use simple terms. And they're immediately up and running. The only thing you need is a single wire socket that comes directly from the meter, where we'll then plug in our plug. Because how do balcony photovoltaic panels work? Typically, each has an inverter, but they can also be linked. Here, I have two 400-watt panels sharing one inverter. But then in fact, they go to the socket, which in this case is down there. I won't show it now, but you can check the old video where I demonstrate the installation. So, they're two 400-watt units, and what's the point? It's that they're much easier to install, and it's also better for the paperwork, because we don't have to make declarations or do anything weird since they fall under what's called mini photovoltaic. Okay, so is it worth it now or not? First, we'll discuss general conditions, then my specific case, and finally wrap up briefly. The considerations. So keep in mind that a photovoltaic system like this, 800 watts installed facing south. So not on this side where I installed them, but they should be installed on that side, there. It can produce about 800 kilowatt hours per year, which is not a small amount. Then there are various things that can have an impact, like the degree of inclination or things like that. But let's try to keep things, let's say, standard. This, more or less, paying about 0.25 per kilowatt means that we end up saving 200 euros a year. In terms of percentage, you could save between 20 and 25% on your bill. So, a quarter of what we consume, which is still quite a lot. It also depends on how much we consume, since there are several precautions to take. Besides maybe installing home photovoltaic panels that consume little and so on. It's definitely better to install a 3 kilowatt system, because that's when things get serious. But in my opinion, this is a solution that works well in some cases, because it still allows you to save some money. A very important thing is that there's a 50% tax deduction on photovoltaic systems, even those for balconies. Remember, a system with two panels can cost around 100, 1,000 or 1,200 euros, with some being more expensive. But, well, at that point it becomes, maybe I don't know if it's still worth taking such a step. Say we spend 1,000 euros, we get 500 euros back over 10 years through the 730 form. Alright, I want to get them back in 10 years. Okay, but it's better than throwing the money away. No, it's fine, you get them back in 10 years, but you do get them back. So with about 500 euros, we can have a complete balcony photovoltaic system like this. And considering that, more or less, in terms of savings, let's say 200 to be on the safe side. In 3 years, we've recovered the cost of the panels. Then everything else is 100% savings that we see on our bill. How long do the panels last? 10, 15 or 20 years. They last a long time, so it's worth it. I'll share details about my case first, then mention that at the end. Why? I wanted to install them anyway. Even though my situation isn't ideal, actually, it's pretty poor. I'm facing southwest, so first of all, I only get sunlight in the morning. Secondly, I had to install the panels on the wall, as you can see. Why? Because my balcony doesn't have a railing, it's a closed balcony with glass, so I can't install them with the brackets that are available now. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find a safe solution, because if photovoltaic panels fall down, it's not a good thing. Since I have a closed balcony, I can't install them on the railing at an angle. I have them here, so what does that mean? Do they chip the shadow? Why? The parapet. Anyway, the railing I have, the balcony parapet casts a shadow. Up here I also have the roof, so at a certain time they also get shade from here. So I'm not using them at 100%, okay? I'm really using them very little. But I was curious, in fact, to understand whether it was worth it or not, how they worked. Then I'll also explain the solution I found to get around this problem. So now I'll show you the shot. Screenshot of how much I saved. I'm at about 83 euros in a year, which isn't a lot. The system produced about 330 kilowatts in a year. But we have to keep in mind, of course, that I don't get sun all day, that I don't use them 100% because there's shade and other factors. So in my case, it's kind of worth it, but not completely. Also because photovoltaic panels, especially the balcony ones, have a limit. And that is, since they're connected directly to the system, so directly to your home's electricity, what happens? The electricity you're producing, the one you're consuming at that moment, and the one the panels are generating. Okay, you're saving it, but what if the panels produce more energy than you're consuming at that moment? Basically, you're giving it away, and so you don't save anymore, and it's kind of money wasted. What's the solution I adopted to solve this problem? I solved this problem by installing a fantastic storage battery. In fact, my friends at StoreCube sent me this S100, which is a battery that can store up to 1000 watts. So what happens then? I have the photovoltaic panels connected to this storage battery, which stores the energy and then releases it into the system. The energy I need, the one I use, the one I consume. This way I can retain all the energy that my photovoltaic system manages to produce. This way I can save even more. The same applies to those with balcony photovoltaic panels connected directly to the system. With the storage battery, we can save a lot more money. Very easy to install. Yesterday I installed it with my daughter. It took us 20-25 minutes to install it. So it's really simple. We have the input where the photovoltaic panels connect, and then we have the output that goes to the inverter. And then the inverter actually puts the current into the home system. But this way, I don't waste any energy at all. In the description of this video, you'll find the link to purchase this storage battery, and by entering my discount code Fabio Marchione, you can get a 5% discount. What's great about this battery? It's modular too. I mean, we can also add other modules and turn it into a super mega battery that stores a lot of energy. Right, a couple of things about this battery. It uses LiFePO technology, which is one of the safest on the market. As I said, you don't need to install anything weird mounted on the wall or use screws. It's really simple. Then you just set it on the ground. Obviously, if it's a bit covered, that's better, but that's obvious. It's waterproof since it needs to be outdoors. You can actually stack up to 5 of these to store up to 5 kilowatts of energy, which is definitely not a small amount. Another interesting thing is that it's compatible with 99% of the microinverters that are used for balcony photovoltaic systems. So it's really super convenient. Next is the app. I installed it and it shows me the panel's output and storage levels. So I installed it yesterday afternoon, so I didn't have any more sunlight here. This morning it rained, so it didn't store much, but it works. It stored a little bit. In the next few days, please follow me on Instagram as I may post some stories. Actually, let me know in the comments if you want updates and I'll tell you a bit about how it's going. The app is convenient and connects to Wi-Fi. It charges from 50 to 90%, but I set it to 80% as recommended, and everything integrates. So guys, it's really very simple to use. I remind you, the link is in the description. Use the discount code Fabio Marchione and you can get a 5% discount. Now let's move on to the conclusion of this video. Is balcony solar worth it? Yes or no? In my opinion, if you're facing south, it's worth it. Because I'm going to put the screenshot here. Anyway, I can still accumulate as I am, even though I'm kind of, let's say, handicapped. With these panels, I get to 1.7 per day. Okay, obviously on sunny days and so on, I use about 4 and something per day. Okay, let's say 4.5. So that means almost half. On sunny days when the weather is nice, I can produce it with my solar panels. Now, it will definitely be even better thanks to this, because in my opinion, we lost a bit of energy. We tried to run the dishwasher in the morning, the washing machines in the morning, because as I said, we know about this. But obviously you can't always do it. If you're facing south, I think it's worth it. And how? Why? Because after all, it's a fairly reasonable expense. You get 50% back with the tax deductions. If you have a storage battery, even better. And so it's definitely a way with limited costs to manage to save something on your bills. You recover the cost in the end within 2, let's say even 3 years. You recover it in 3 years. I mean, anyway, then you have a 20-25% savings per year, which shouldn't be underestimated. The downside is definitely the fact that they're a bit limited if you don't install a storage battery. That's true, but you have the advantage that you don't need to be a technician to install them. Because I did everything here by myself. I installed both the panels and these myself. Well, I installed the wall too. But this is my situation. You don't have to do 1,000 documents, bureaucracy, all sorts of hassles. You don't have to do any of that. Anyway, in my opinion, to save electricity, it's definitely a solution not to be underestimated. Because I repeat, we also have the incentive. Without the incentive, okay, you recover the cost in 5 to 6 years. Yeah, it's a bit more borderline, but this way you recover it in 2 to 3 years. Obviously, I repeat, if you're facing south and you can put the panels on, like you have the railing so you can put it on the balcony parapet, in my opinion, it's definitely a good option to save money on your bills. Reminder, link in the description for Sorcube Fabio Marchione to get 5% off. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you maybe have a system or have had the 3 kilowatt one installed, if you've also thought about a balcony photovoltaic system, if you've installed it, in short, let me know what you think. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and as usual, I'll see you around.